Okay, we're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this live episode of In Lay Terms. I'm your host, Payman Ascari. I've managed to actually start the show on time today, and I have with me David. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you, Payman?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm alive. I beat the odds. I live to
Well done.
host another day.
Well done. Well done. I can claim the same. Yep.
Nice.
All
Common
right.
ground.
Yeah, we're alive together. Here we are. In Canada.
All right, David.
Imagine that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, despite Trudeau's best efforts, we made it.
Yeah, he's at the United Nations apparently, and on the Stephen Colbert show. You
Yeah,
have seen any of these details or clips?
No, I mean I've already been demoralized enough. I don't need to see more garbage.
Yeah,
we Kamala Harris in the north. But.
Yeah, they're very similar, aren't they? With just these weird, here's an example of a sentence that either one of them could use. Canadians or Americans, we just want to feel our freedom and be free to feel it, or whatever, right? They use these power words, but with no logic or what's the word? Platform, right? Or policies. Yeah.
Is that what he said?
I'm just using a random example of just how they talk. It's just like Canadians want to feel free, be free, and have the freedom to be themselves. You know, it's just they just use this sort of language that has no real policy or common sense to it. That's how I see it anyway.
What did it? Donald Trump called it. He said Kamala Harris talks in rhyme and riddle. Said we have to take the bus to go downtown because that's what buses do.
Yeah, exactly.
A child would say.
Yeah, it just seems silly, and the name calling, and it's like, what the heck? It's silly, for politicians to just name call and really go down. For example, in the parliament this week, wasn't Jagmeet Singh almost coming over to punch somebody out or some crazy thing going on? What do you know about this?
Yeah, he said. Yeah, apparently he said "come at me, bro," and he tried to go towards Pierre Poilievre, and there's so much of this because I'm in politics, I have to follow this stuff, but there's so much nonsense that I don't. It's not worth my time to go and look into it. I just look at the headline. I'm like, oh, idiot politician says "come at me, bro." Got it.
Yeah, sure. Same here. It's just a quick skim. It's like stupid, 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 stupid. Oh, a cat video, and then I'm interested in something on the internet.
Yesterday, somebody shared a video clip of Chrystia Freeland saying something nonsensical. And I'm like, oh, it must be a day that ends in Y.
Yeah, she's next level. And when she takes out her earpiece to answer a question, she throws it down like bang every time. And she's right angry and gray, ashen colored. That's not healthy, whatever's going on with her.
Yeah, she's... I don't know. She's obviously got some health issues. I don't want to make fun of her, but
sure.
She's changed. Let's say she's changed.
I expect more from politicians of her caliber. I do.
Yeah, but they kind of get away with it. So, she rambles on and says something incoherent, but there's no consequence. So she'll just do it again because the alternative is, she tells the truth and she gets in trouble.
Yeah, and they keep repeating this thing. I'm beginning to think that this dental care thing is some kind of psyop. Well, you don't care about teeth every day. You don't care about children's teeth or children's lunches every day. This is their only comeback again and again and again for actually great questions by the conservatives, in my opinion. And I'm neither of those players, but I hate the liberals. I could say that much.
Yeah, right now I hate the liberals. That's true.
I used to be one.
I used to. Well, when I was in university, I was, far left because that's what you do in university,
Oh yeah, in Canada, yep. They're far left. That's no fun. I'm glad I got out of that.
So we got Prairie in the comments. She says, "Good morning, guys." And there was another incident with Jagmeet Singh before the "come at me, bro." He, he's getting hostile with just a citizen.
Outside, and outside the Parliament building on Parliament grounds. And correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't he have a black belt in karate, the art of self-mastery?
It's supposed to be self-discipline, but I guess not his.
Yeah, I also took karate, Okinawan Japanese karate, and they're very serious about this, that you don't fight people. Oh no, yeah. Self-defense only. You're taking care of, you're fighting yourself when you punch in the air and stuff. You're fighting your own whatever, dark side, however you want to think of it.
Uh,
So he's an arsehole. That's what he is.
well, he is, but like we're post reason in politics. So you have your leader of your political party gets in the face of a citizen, and rather than repenting, apologizing, saying I lost my temper, they start putting out these posts about how he's a black belt, and then he approaches the leader of the official opposition party in the parliament. So it's a clown show.
It's stupid. It's a waste of my time to even pay attention.
Yeah, and I guess that's the point. So they can ram these other bills through. Like, are you following these bills in Parliament right now? Any of them?
293 I've been looking at, but I'm no scholar in that regard, I can tell you. But it's hard to avoid a lot of these insane bills that keep getting, in social media. Bill what's the one about the censorship online harms bill?
63.
63. Yeah. I mean, I pay attention, but I mean, what can I do? I mean, what can I do about it? Write them a letter?
What's 293 about? That's the UN one? I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Yeah. Lisa Myron, anybody could check out her Substack. She's been an attorney in Canada for 24 years, and she's been going around on all the podcasts. So Lisa Myron, Miron. And she was on my podcast. So there you go. Check out my podcast. She was on there just last week. And the World Health Organization, essentially, will commandeer Canada in the event of a pandemic, especially one caused by climate change. And this is written in there. And everything is in there, from the stocks, emergency stockpiles being handed out as they see fit. And firemen can give you injections of preventative medicines. Just really crazy, wacky, totalitarian, just a complete totalitarian takeover, essentially. And the Minister of Health would be the new dictator. He would usurp the Prime Minister in some sense. And again, I'm no expert, but we talked about it at great length on the show, and she showed the documents. Bill 293 in Canada. It just passed this week. One of the more recent looks at it, right? It takes 3-4 rounds before it's passed these things. It's almost passed. So there's a lot to it. And I would encourage people to look at it for themselves rather than have me butcher and explain it. But if you don't like totalitarianism, you might not want this to pass, citizens.
Do you have you talked to anybody that supports this bill? Like, what's their argument in support of it?
I don't know. Oh, what's that little short fella who's with the Liberals with the gray hair?
The hobgoblin guy?
Little ratty kobold hobgoblin type of guy.
Are you talking about the Minister of Immigration? He looked like a goblin, the Middle Eastern guy.
I got his name here. Hold on. Anyway, they just created a new department. This is what I'm getting at. And he announced it on the news. Where is it? A new pandemic, here it is. Here's a quote directly from this guy. He looks like a little, that's not him, but he's a little orc, this guy. Okay. So once fully operational, this is a quote, this is him. It will have an industrial game plan to move quickly on research and industrial mobilization. He uses the word industrial twice in the sentence. That's scary. Industrial mobilization if another health emergency like a pandemic is declared, end quote. The CTV. Oh, here it is. Liberals launch pandemic preparedness agency seeking faster vaccine development. The federal Liberals are creating a new agency to beef up Canada's ability, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. They've created a whole new Homeland Security, whatever, federal group of Gestapo Nazis. That's what this is. So, how you like that? An industrial vaccine production for the next one.
I'm looking up at the icon for YouTube. I'm expecting it to disappear any moment. You said Nazi.
Oh, sorry.
I don't care. YouTube can go,
Well, it's so weird, that word, and it's not a good word, but I'm sorry, it's useful these days. And I know that people use it and they don't know what that means. Just like Marxists, people say this word, they don't know what it means. Communists, they say this word, and et cetera, et cetera. Let's just call it totalitarianism and be done with it. Maybe
This is the guy.
you don't need that word.
This is what I was talking about. Omar Al Gabra. Do you remember the hobgoblin?
That guy, yeah. The Minister of Transportation, the guy who wouldn't allow me on an airplane for 2 years for not taking the juice. Yeah, sure, that guy.
Yeah, like why do they have so many ugly people in politics like him and was it Theresa Tam?
I know why. I know why. Because when you sell your soul to Satan, this is what happens to you. You become disgusting and nasty.
I think it's more personal than that. I think Trudeau wants to ruin my day.
Yeah, sure. I'm actually just joking around about that. I mean, I'm not speaking literally. Like, I'm actually not a Christian, so but I do believe in evil all of a sudden, which I never really cared about in my life. I didn't really see it in my life. But since the pandemic, I have been forced to ask big spiritual questions, huge ones, all right, and political questions too. What is my purpose in the world? What am I supposed to do facing down this threat of my own government? It's not a good feeling, Payman, to be honest.
I was at an event yesterday. Do you know Megan Murphy?
The name's familiar, but who is she?
Feminist communist who left the left, and then the left tried to destroy her. She said like she's between Canada, Texas, and Mexico right now, and whether or not she ever comes back to Canada, she said it's completely based on whether Canadians keep voting in authoritarian leaders.
Yeah, well, I have no solution to this problem we're in personally, other than individual effort in certain ways.
Canucks around. No, she's not. I didn't say she's a communist. She said she was a former communist, so she called herself a reformed communist.
Yeah, I'm a reformed communist too. Anarchist communist, if you believe that. Now I'm an anarchist. It's different. It's different. Take the left out, and you've just become actually a gardener, raising chickens. That's actual anarchism, in my opinion. Becoming an asset to your community and to your family, and fuck the government if they're going to be this way. What else can I do, Payman? Go vote? Write a letter? What are they going to do? They don't care about me, and they've proven that. My government doesn't care about me. Oh no.
That's
talk my feeling. About that. Sure.
You said anarchy. You could call it libertarianism, whatever. But like, tell me why you're like. What are you homesteading? And why are you doing that?
Well, I mean, health and well-being is something that's of interest to me, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And it's like the food in the grocery store is no good. And I've always wanted to just get into gardening. Everybody does. And we got some land in 2019, Nova Scotia, 2 acres on a little lake out in the bush. And it's wonderful, quiet, beautiful. Removed some trees, pulled out the stumps, put in gardens. We're literally like 1850 around here, except with gas-powered chainsaws. And I guess maybe they had those then. But no, we're just not doing anything particularly ideological, just trying to live a good life. And I don't think technology is necessary because I think that we evolved pretty well. We have plumbing, wood stove, I got a septic tank, grow some food, love your family, be your friend to the community and your neighbors if you can. Getting difficult these days with the Covidian cult lurking around. They're an issue. They're psychologically captured. So there's problems, man, everywhere. But for me, you asked about homesteading. It's ordinary to me. And it feels good, of course, to be out in the sun, grow food, get healthy. And eating that food that we've been growing here, I've been feeling very healthy and very empowered mentally, physically, and spiritually. Living in a city for most of my life has not been good for my health. So let's say for the past 5 years and through the COVID era, I've become like a Spartan, as you said when we were talking. You were on my podcast last week, and you said, out on the East Coast, we see you guys as like Spartan warriors. You're really intimidating. Compared to that, yeah. Compared to BC, where I did live for 6 years, and you kind of are actually onto something, that we are a bit rough right here. We say the F word a lot. Anyway, I'm rambling. Did I answer the question about homesteading?
Yeah, I got a follow-up question from Canucks Aram. If you feel comfortable, he's asking like, what are the startup costs, and what's the monthly carrying cost for operations?
For what I'm doing here?
Yeah,
Well, I
homesteading.
mean, here's the deal. I'm a chef by trade, and when COVID started, that ended. Okay. And my wife's a registered nurse. That also ended because there's a vaccine mandate in my province for 2.5 years that ended in 2024, this year, February. Did you just hear a noise? Was that me here? Anyway, sorry. I heard a weird noise. What was I saying? Yeah. So here's the deal. So she had to work in another province. So I was like, well, I'm going to stay home and grow food because we were actually concerned about the end of the world, maybe. This lockdown was very jarring psychologically for us and not being allowed to work anymore, both of us. So I cracked the books and I knew a thing or two about gardening already, a little, but I had experience. I took a degree. I got a degree online through 2020, 2021. I took another degree in gardening, organic gardening. So I'm sort of a master organic gardener on paper, but it's been 5 years of actually doing it. So regarding costs, I mean, so she's earning pretty good money, and we don't need to talk about her and what's going on there, but I'm growing food. I built a chicken coop. We've got chickens. I'm cooking for her to keep her going. So I don't know about the costs. We're not really looking at that so much because we see everything as investment. I mean, what can I say about costs? I mean,
Can I jump in? I can.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. Yeah.
So like, what do you? Is your energy coming from firewood that you collect on the property, or do you have electricity coming? Do you have gas coming in?
We got electric heat that we never turn on, and I use the wood stove exclusively. And I do get a lot of. Well, we cleared 2 acres here when we paid guys with machines, and I'm excellent with a chainsaw myself, so I've cleared a lot of stuff myself too. And yes, I got a massive pile of logs here, and we've also bought firewood. Anyway, so we got lots of wood. Some that we bring in, some that we cut ourselves. So we're doing it pretty old school like that. Yeah. I'm processing logs. Yeah.
You mentioned you have plumbing and you have a septic.
I just mean what I meant by that was like we've evolved to this level. So why do we need technology and brain chips and stuff anymore? And living in cities, why can't everybody spread out in Canada? I was just sort of trying to make a point about technology and evolution. Where's the line, right?
Well, my question is, do you have well water?
Yeah, we have a drilled well, which is awesome. It's endless water, and I live on a lake, which is fresh, clean. Yeah, lots of water.
And the well, is it powered by a diesel generator or outside power?
There's a pump in the basement, and I'm not like, I've been a homeowner for 5 years, but still haven't really learned all those fine details about the pump. But I think it just plugs in. It's electric pump. I think that's pretty much what that is.
Okay. So
sorry to all the real men out there. I can't answer a lot of those things.
To answer Canuck Saram's question, I guess your only real cost is property tax and the electric bill.
Sure. Yeah. And whatever we pay for, we had the driveway re-graveled, that costs money. So we're paying to have things done. And we buy compost sometimes. We hook up the trailer, go buy $500 here and there of soil, whatever. So there's inputs. There's a lot of physical and inputs, man. Yeah. And I'm 46 now, and I actually have an injury from the last bout of shoveling and raking. But hey, we're putting in gardens, man. It's hard work. There's that noise again. Do you hear anything?
I do. I'm expecting.
Okay, I know what that is, and don't worry about it. It's actually going to stop. That's my water filtration system. You might hear like, shh. Do you hear that?
I heard something, but I was worried that we get like a moose comes in and just kills you on live stream.
Well, there is a bear around, so things could happen and kill me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Whistler and I'm in bear territory. I see them all the time, and you talk to tourists and they're like, "Oh, they're so cute." I'm like, "Lady, I have 2 dogs. I'm walking around in the middle of a forest as a bear. Like, I wish we had gun rights. I don't like hurting animals, but I don't like going in the forest unprotected."
Yeah. There's a lot of bears out there, isn't there? Is there cougars in the Whistler area? Or is that more of a Tofino thing?
I've seen wolves. I've seen not cougars. What do you call the other ones that are like little wolves?
Like lynx?
Little wolves.
Coyotes. Coyotes. Yeah. We got those. I hear them every night howling around the lake that I live on. They chase and kill things. And a howl in the moonlight. It's kind of cool.
Where do you live? What's give me a picture. Like, are we talking a hamlet with like 8 families, or what is it, 50,000 people?
Uh, well, there is a. I'm on the South Shore of Nova Scotia. I live in a rural community where it's like just a long road, basically. Then there's a crossroads with like your fire department, graveyard, church, mailboxes for everybody. That's like downtown in my community. And then there's the hub is a 20-minute drive, groceries, whatever, that stuff. And this Trans Canada Highway is 20 minutes away. But I'm out there a little bit. It's crown land all around me, so really great nature, untouched, lots of wildlife. I'm on a little lake, and there's 5 houses around the lake. Down a dirt road, off a dirt road, so I don't hear traffic. Once this pump stops making this noise in about a few seconds, then I'll be back to sounds of the crows here, probably. So it's nice. It's great.
What about your neighbors? Like, are they also 2 acres, or are they super rich people?
Everyone's has about the same size little spot, yeah. But I've got the best one because it was flat enough. Because I'm on a drumlin, and basically when the glaciers were 2 miles tall, they were here right across this province of Nova Scotia, right across the center. And if anybody looks at a geological map of Nova Scotia, they'll see this big strip right across. And then when the glaciers receded fairly quickly, they dropped a lot of boulders of various sizes, and some are massive. And that was 10,000 years ago. And so I live on this strip. So the forest, you'll break your legs if you're not careful, because you're climbing over boulders covered in moss with trees trying to grow and survive. And everything's really rough. A lot of trees are falling over. Anyway, so a drumlin is interesting. So with gardening, trying to make a garden in this area, but that was fun. But anyway, that's sort of where we are. Very interesting and cool nature going on here. With forage mushrooms, I learned what mushrooms to eat. we go pick them. We got cranberries growing across the road, enough to fill the freezer, or like a big bag of berries, and blackberries. Anyway, that's a little picture of what we're doing. Trying to go back in time a little bit to a time of sanity. I was wondering about that.
Here in BC, like, you go in the forest and there's nothing that you can eat.
Really?
There's literally, like, there's berries, but they're only good like 1 month a year.
There's a lot out here. Yeah. Lots of stuff out here. Because a lot of settlers came to Nova Scotia from all different countries all over the Western world. And they brought with them like seeds and things to grow from all of their native places. So there's wild, edible stuff all up and down the highways and the ditches everywhere. If you just get the right book, that pump just stops. So that's the end of that noise. If anyone heard a background noise, it's over. No, and that's an interesting thing. Like dandelions, they're not native here, but it's totally an edible thing. And someone brought that here.
You can eat dandelions?
Oh, dude, you can just pick the whole yellow head and stick it in your mouth, chew it up, and swallow it. And the leaves, the roots, you can roast to make coffee.
But I mean, like, does it have like calories? Like, does it give you energy?
Oh, sure. Oh my God, that's a powerful thing to eat. Very good for you. And in fact, the best time to pick it is in the early. To get the small leaves when they first come, long before they're big, and because they get very bitter. And then at the end of the year, like now, there's more trying to come up with small leaves. You pick those and eat those. They're the best. They're not so bitter. Really healthy. Oh man. Yeah.
I guess I take it back when I said there's nothing in the forest to eat. I just don't know what to eat.
You know what's funny? I studied what to eat in the wild over this period of this COVID era. And there's 200 things I have on a list written down here from all my research and all my books of things I can eat in my own area. Yeah, like that.
You mean things like Domino's and Taco Bell, or?
Yeah. When everyone's at the bread lineup in Halifax, when the communist regime really comes, no, I'll be picking a variety of wonderful, delectable treats right here. And I grow them intentionally on my property, certain wild foods, because I expect a time eventually to come where someone's going to come with guns and say, "Give me your food." And and then they'll take the carrots, they'll take the potatoes and things they understand and they can see easily. And this is just a theory. Who knows? I was very scared in 2020, man. That's why I learned all these things. So I planted a lot of wild edible foods around the property and stuff. as decoys for wild animals so they'll stay out of my gardens. But also, if someone steals my food, I'll still have food to eat. They won't even know what it is. Only I'll know what it is. And there's lots of it growing everywhere. So anyone listening who wants to come steal my food now, they know that.
And they know what not to avoid the decoy food.
They'll be like, okay, dude, show me where the wild edibles are you planted on this property. No, I mean, I was worried, dude. Like, you know what a man's going to do when he's hungry and his family's hungry? Any man? 8 meals. And if he's got a gun, he's going to go looking for food. He's going to get it. So I grow extra food for my neighbors. I plan in terms of prepping, which I do for fun, not in a psychotic way. But I do it almost as a hobby now. So you live in the homestead life dream. It's great. I'm loving it. I mean, my poor wife has to go to work, but she's a good worker and she doesn't mind our setup for now. But that's going to change soon, and that's a sidetrack about our livelihoods, which is actually going to flip pretty soon. I'm going to be going out to do something, and we're going to switch roles. Yeah. So did I answer the question? I'm rambling.
I don't remember what the question was, but Prairie says you can make dandelion wine. I didn't know
Sure.
that.
Oh yeah, you can. Yeah.
Prairie, maybe if you could put in the comment section if you can make dandelion vodka. Let me know how that works.
Well, the roots you can roast and then grind them up, and they're black in color, and it's like a coffee substitute.
Yeah, it just goes to show. I'm a programmer. I grew up in the cities. These things I just don't know. Like,
you know, cattails. You must have swamps with cattails. You know what I mean? They got the brown top that if you explode it, it's all these little white things that go flying through the air. They're standing up tall in the swamps.
I've never. Are you talking about the one that's curled?
No, they call them cattails, and they're big, tall, straight things that come up with large green leaves that come up. But then way up the top, there's a brown, almost looks like a hot dog or a sausage, and it's brown. And if you were to squeeze it, thousands of little fluffy things would come off. Wow, you are a city boy, aren't you?
Is that? Yeah, I am. Is that the one where you can use it as a torch?
Can we share a screen during this?
Sure.
You might be able to do it easier than me. Just look up a cattail for yourself. I mean, you're probably the only one listening here today that doesn't know what that is, my friend. So maybe you just need to look it up. No, I'm joking. That's a common plant. When you see it, you're going to go, oh, yeah, that's everywhere. But that's food.
Yeah.
That's food.
For the record, that's not a hot dog. That's a corn dog.
You seen a picture of it?
Let me...
I think cattails. There might be another more proper title.
Share the whole thing. Do you see it? This guy?
Yeah, this guy right there. So what you got here is that brown thing. You break that open, and there's really small seeds. They're so small it's not worth your time to eat, but you can eat them, almost like a poppy seed. But what you want to get down is the root, and also the softer stalks. You want to pick it earlier in the year. It'll be like an asparagus. When they're grown this far, it'll be woody, not really edible. Although the roots are always there, and they almost have little potatoes down in there. Starch.
I always thought that they could be used as a torch. Somebody told me that you can light it.
Yeah, I've done that. You just stick it in a gasoline jug, get it soaked in gas. You light that up. It's kind of fun, but you know what? It'd be a disaster. So I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah, you could throw it like an incendiary. It'll explode when it hits like the ground or whatever.
Okay, this is we're approaching.
So long, YouTube. Fuck off, YouTube. We don't like you anyway.
It's like 3 Hamas soldiers just joined the channel to figure out how to create a jerry-rig incendiary device.
Yeah. Well, we're having an interesting conversation so far about wild edibles, homesteading, prepping, and stuff like that. Terrorism. Where you want to go next?
I had a question about 293, if I can remember it.
I don't know much about it. It's a pandemic thing. It's like if there's another pandemic, this bill will come into action, and the World Health Organization will be your daddy, and they'll do whatever they want to you, including there's even something in there that says alternative protein sources, bugs.
Yeah, but this is what I was going to ask you. Do you remember the WHO pandemic treaty?
I do, and everyone was focused on trying to stop that while they were drafting this little doozy that now they're passing.
Yeah.
How you like that? A little bait and switch for everybody.
It's basically the same thing.
It is the same thing, and it's worse. That's my understanding. Again, people should do their own research on that one. Lisa Myron's the place to go. You don't have to watch my podcast with her, because we actually diverted into like Luciferianism and transhumanism, because this agenda is so dark, what they really want to do to us. It's not just about control your life, citizen. No. They have other plans, I think.
So I asked you early on in this episode, what do your neighbors think, or do you talk to people on the left? I talk to a lot of constituents, and they don't care. Like this saying SOGI, WHO, pandemic treaty, it doesn't really work. It doesn't resonate with them. But they're aware of the problem that's causing downstream, like the erosion of parental rights. And I think we need to get our act together on our side. I call us the liberty side.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
You said SOGI there.
Are you familiar with that?
Oh, yes. In my transhumanism investigations, I've come to realize about the 4 gentlemen who are now women who signed that into into law. They're all transsexual lawyers of very high level. One's Martin, who's now Martine. But they're all lawyers. And, the University of Victoria, they also paid for them to have the very first gender studies program in Canada. And, dude, there's this rabbit hole now with the SOGI stuff, straight from transgenderism to transhumanism, which is actually just transgenderism is almost a smokescreen for what they really want people to become. Cyborg. How you like that for a rabbit hole? We don't need to go there.
No, it's just more of this progression of, taking out the human element. Like people aren't souls; they're not natural persons. They're just a cog in a machine. So David on his homestead, he's just an idiot. That's what they want.
Yeah, there's a fundamental humanist rationalism to the whole thing. Postmodernism, the death, like God is dead, the whole nihilistic thing. There's a whole spiritual war too, like to carve up people's bodies and destroy their mind. That's a disembodiment industrial complex where they want people disembodied mentally to prepare to go into the metaverse. Actually, I think that's the end game, or whatever. Transhumanism is a vast side topic that I focus on in my podcast. But in order to research that, you have to research the whole gender ideology movement, which is a part of it, to make people not want to be in their body anymore. Why? It was a $9 billion industry in 2015, this whole surgical pharmaceutical push to make people believe that they're in the wrong body. They're in the right body, first of all. That's the first thing. But anyway, how much in 2019, 3 years later, $3 trillion industry. This is a push. Whatever this is, it's a push on a global level. To disembody us.
I talked to people by the way, Peter Biker gave a shout out to you. He said, you're doing great work with your adventure out there at the homestead.
Oh, cool. Thanks. Yeah. If I was better at sharing screen, I could show you cool pictures and stuff. Got a greenhouse. I do raised beds. I'm an expert in soil construction soil management, which is important for anyone who wants to grow food. Don't worry about the plants and how to grow the plants, quote, quote. Learn how to make soil that things will grow in, and anything will grow in it. Tip.
I guess soil is the foundation for farming.
Here's a hot tip. Seaweed, lots of it. Get it in there. Let it break down in that soil, and anything will grow. There's 17, is it 78 or 70 amino acids, nutrients, and gelatin. Okay, I don't have the details of the science in front of me. But is it gelatin things? Anyway, basically, if you take a vitamin C and you want it to absorb into your body quicker, you could take a zinc. There's things in seaweed that operate that way, like the minerals and nutrients and amino acids in the seaweed also has an element in it that will deliver quickly and efficiently those things into the soil and into the plants. It's crazy, man. Meanwhile, no, just spray glyphosate all over it, dude. It'll grow. Crop dust that shit and feed it to everybody. No, this is not food. This is not common sense at all to do this. To use poison to make food for humans. I'm very passionate about food, Payman. Don't get me started.
Well, my next question is kind of about food. Chemtrails. What the hell are they? Like, what is this? Just a conspiracy theory, or What's going on?
I don't know. You explain to me what these things are. I see them with my eyes. They're there, aren't they? Is it vapor? Here's what Jim Lee thinks, and he's sort of the guy I've been going around with an alternative theory. The jets are leaving trails because it's just shitty fuel, whatever. It's fuel. This is not the conspiracy theory. This is the alternative to the conspiracy theory. They are there. We see them. Some jets don't leave the trail. Some do. Okay, weird. Is it just the weather? Maybe. But Jim Lee, anyone can look him up. He says the jet traffic is very heavy in our skies. So it's always going one way. One day, then they redirect all the traffic this way to avoid all of these trails because it creates a freaking dome, a silver dome over my whole community. And so not every day, though. Some days I don't see any traffic in the air, nothing. And some days I hear one after the other leaving these insane trails at all altitudes, and they cover the whole sky. So it's like, according to Jim Lee, he's just saying that day that the air traffic controllers are routing it over your area. It's not that they're spraying nanotechnology over everybody, but I don't know what it is. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just vapor because of the air patterns that day. Maybe. I don't fucking know, dude. I don't know. But I see weird stuff in my sky because I'm outside every day and I watch it very closely. And why does it rain every time after it happens? Explain that to me. In fact, they're calling for rain this weekend, finally. And as a gardener, I've been waiting 6 weeks for this day because it's been very dry and humid here. Finally, a rain. It's like, yes. And what happened? Chemtrails all day today because they know it's going to rain too. What are they doing? So I have questions. Yes, I have questions, but I have no answers.
It's called the precipitation cycle, David. That's how it works.
Oh,
Where do you think rain comes from?
You know, what's
planes carry the water up and then they pour it down.
Actually, now that you bring that up, that's funny. Just today, I was thinking, I get a lot of time to think with this quietude out here, you know, walking the dog, you know, just a quiet country road, like a dirt road. There's no traffic on it. And it's like, I was thinking about chemtrails actually, because I saw them today. And I was like, maybe they did destroy the atmosphere with atomic testing. Maybe they're actually engineering it for our safety. Is that a twist on the conspiracy? Maybe they have to do it or we will fry.
I am so sick and tired. I've been on this planet for 41 years. I am so sick and tired of their lies. Like, it was the hole in the ozone layer, global cooling, global warming, climate change is the one now, desertification, the killer bees, what the ice caps are going to melt, rising sea levels. It's like, just pick a lie and stick with it, man.
Yeah, and they're rebranding because they're running out of ideas. You see, the killer bees are now murder hornets. Did you see that?
No, I didn't know.
Oh, dude, back. Google murder hornets. They're not killer bees anymore. They're murder hornets.
There's these hornets crossing over the U.S. southern border, and they're killing the good citizens.
Yeah, sure. They just want, they run out of things to cover on the news. They can't cover vaccines constantly. Yeah. They just want people to be scared of stupid stuff. I'm sick of it. I'm tuning out, and I'm tuning into nature. Thank God I can. I don't live in a city, and every day I'm so thankful that I have this life that I have right now. It wasn't always this way. I can tell you that. Right? I'm 46. I didn't always be I've been a homesteader for 5 years of my life. 41 years I was a schlub trying to be survive, Just grinding away in kitchens as a chef. It's like, oh my God, dude. That's a brutal, brutal occupation. It really is. Oh man. My body's broken, actually. My body is not great from being a chef. And switching to homesteader, you need to be strong, man, and stuff like that. But that's life. That's life, isn't it? So you work hard and you die.
It's not exactly a motivational poster, but it's reality. Yeah.
Reality is very motivational. Yeah. When you get real, you get a lot of energy, a lot of determination to do what's right. Because there's also wrong in this world.
I had a question for you, David. I want to get a sense of what life is like over there on the other side of the country. You mentioned you cut down the trees. Is it like BC, where in Vancouver you need like an act of God signed in triplicate to, trim a tree.
Well, in any city here, sure, if it's like that. But I'm out in the bush. No one can see what I'm doing. Even my neighbor has bonfires every night almost over there. He's just going crazy over there. I don't know. People just do what they do out here. I'm literally, out there in the bush. I'm out there mentally and physically.
But like your neighbors, are they normal human beings? So you don't snitch on your neighbor when he has a bonfire?
No. And he does have fire when you're not allowed to. And there's a lot of not allowed to's around here, I can tell you. We have a very totalitarian government here in Nova Scotia. They're brutal. They're brutal. Anything that happens, it's like red or the yellow tape goes up. You can't go for a walk on the trails. Like last year, there was a forest fire threat. And you weren't allowed to go into the crown land. You weren't allowed to go hunting. You weren't allowed to go picking mushrooms. You weren't allowed to go into the forest in Nova Scotia on any crown land. And all of the walking trails, and dude, this is Canada's ocean playground. That's what it says on the license plate. This is a massive walking trail, biking trail, mecca of tourism. And every single town that we drove through had the yellow tape up, do not cross, sometimes with guards in the middle of summer. Even in Cape Breton, which is an island connected with a bridge made of metal, which was not in threat of burning down. And there's a podcaster out there who's a veteran from the Canadian Armed Forces, and he's like, what the fuck, man? Like, there's no fire here. I can't walk on a trail or go on Crown Land, like right here in Cape Breton. And there's a fire threat around near Halifax. And half of a community of Tantallon burnt down last year. So it was sort of serious. And we've never had forest fires here, ever. And you know what? It rains constantly here, well, except for this year. And the year that forest fire happened, the forests were soaked in water. Very strange. And half of a suburb of Halifax burnt to the ground. I drove through it. Black foundation. Right outside of Halifax last year. So I'm on a bit of a tangent or a rant here, but I'll stop.
No, that's okay. Tell me, like, how do you guys see the rest of Canada? So you're in Nova Scotia. Like, do you guys have rivalry with PEI and Newfoundland?
No.
Do you look at the rest of Canada and you're like, oh, we hate those guys?
I don't. I have a problem with Victoria. I have a chip on my shoulder about Victoria, BC, because I lived there for 2 years and I really, really hated it. But other than that, I've lived in many areas of Canada, the mountains of BC, the islands of the islands around BC there. What are they called again? Salt Spring. I spent a whole summer on Salt Spring Island. I get no complaints necessarily. It's beautiful. It's a different culture. It's a huge landmass. So if you travel that far, it's a different culture. Canadians are different on the West Coast. A little bit, yeah. Not so grounded. Oh, I'm going to make some enemies now. But there's a certain.
Tell me about Victoria. Why didn't you like Victoria?
Well, I just described to you the type of life that I'm more built for, and that I did grow up in this type of an environment. I'm a country bumpkin, and that's how I like it. I like it that way, right? And I've lived in cities: Halifax, Vancouver. Oh my God! But what was your question again? Victoria, why'd I hate it so much? Yeah, I just felt cramped, closed in. It's like there's hardly any space. It's house, dwelling, business, and with the ocean all around it. So it's like you got into the beach for a little nature time, but it's just 25 people walking their dogs who don't even say hello to you. So I felt different than from the East Coast because everybody will say hello to you here walking their dog. So there's a difference in the friendliness factor, and I don't want to use that brush, but I think a lot of people would agree that there's a little maybe noticeable something between the East Coast and the West Coast. A little something. I'm not casting a big nasty net on the West. And my wife loves the West Coast, so she doesn't like it if I badmouth Victoria, so I'm getting better at that. But that's a woke hellhole dystopia. How about that? That's my opinion. I hated it.
No,
There's something wrong.
I agree with you. Like, I have to go there for conferences, and I'm in West Vancouver, so I got to take the ferry. That's a whole nother issue. Like taking the ferry to the island, I might as well fly to Toronto. It's like the same amount of time. I get to Nanaimo, which is like, it's a farming kind of community. I don't think it's as open-minded as your area, but it's still better. But as you get closer to Victoria, you just feel it. You're like, oh God, I'm descending into hell.
Yeah, something about it there. It's hard to put your finger on it. I think that we're maybe slower out here, slower doing, slower thinking. I don't know. I think there's a hyper-educated class of people talk faster out there. I don't know. We're all Canadians, though, I think.
What's your view on Ontario? I find like they are the most aggressive, let's say, of Canada.
They're a little, okay, Ontario people. Here's my, just the first thought. Okay, just the first thought. I like Ontario. There's a lot of good things I could say about it, but there's a lot of tourists here because it's pretty close. It's only a few hours or a day and a night to drive from Toronto to out here to our beautiful beaches and stuff. So we see a lot of Ontario license plate in the summers, and they're bad drivers. Well, but they don't know where they are, so it's fine. So you can't. It's hard to say that they're bad drivers. That's a stupid thing for me to say, really. But people do say around here that they don't like people that they don't like people from Ontario, and I don't have that opinion. People say that around here. I'm not easy to bug. Someone's driving like an idiot or being rude and not fitting into the friendly East Coast culture. I don't care. You're not from around here, are you? Like, that's not my thing, dude. I don't fucking care. You know what? Leave me alone and I'll be your best friend. Leave me the hell alone. That's my only policy. Just leave me alone. And that's my new policy. It started in 2020. Yeah, leave me the fuck alone. How about that? And I'll be your friend. That's it. That's my anarchist view. Leave me alone, I leave you alone. And we all evolve together. Yeah. So I don't care about Ontario. I don't care about BC either. Live their fucking life. I don't care.
Yeah, it's a shame more people don't embrace that philosophy of, you do you, I'll do me.
It's a libertarian kind of thing, but isn't it just common sense? Do we need a political label at all in life? You see, if you allow all these systems to manifest themselves, and by systems I mean human beings living their life, which would be hard to do now, I realize that, because it's a nanny state. If you release now and let everybody go form communities and start growing food, raising chickens from scratch, we'd have a massive die-off, right? But maybe we could gently do it and slowly limit the size of the government. That's why a Libertarian Party of Canada would be good. And there is one. I had the leader on my show. Was it Jacques? Something? I forget his name. So a Libertarian policy would be good. A systematic downsizing of government. Wouldn't this be a Libertarian policy?
Let me give you my view. My problem with libertarians, and I have nothing against them personally, but it's almost like they're not true to. It's not what people think libertarianism is. When I think of libertarianism, I think of you. You're living on your property, and you're self-sufficient. But you talk to libertarians, and they just take the word government and they swap it out and they put in the word community. And there's still taxes. And I'm like, well, that's not extreme enough. You're basically just changing the words.
Yeah. Well, libertarians also have this thing that taxation is theft. They're very blunt in this sort of phrase, right? And that's true. It's truth. That's hard truth right there. People don't want to hear that. Oh, you got to pay taxes. Who's going to fix the roads? Dude, think bigger, okay? We don't need taxes. That's ridiculous. Isn't there? Don't you agree? Isn't there any other way to construct a government and operate and fix the freaking roads? You know what? We pay taxes. They don't fix the roads. How about they like that? It's ridiculous. Our roads are shit because, well, I don't want to bring up the mafia, but I think that the mafia are operating all of the construction around here. That's why nothing gets done. Maybe I'll rephrase that and say I don't know that. I have no proof of that because I don't want them to show up. But no, there's corruption here on a wanton scale. I think people would be shocked. to just, I mean, maybe they wouldn't be shocked at this point. Isn't every government in Canada, every provincial government, a bunch of assholes, corrupt bigots?
They are, but like the people are so beat down. Like if you show them a piece of paper and it says unequivocally that they're stealing 90% of their money, they're like, yeah, but the other 10%, it still allows me to go to the bar. Like that, something's missing in people. Like they don't have that spark or the drive anymore.
Yeah, and if you don't pay taxes, who's going to provide your free health care, right?
Yeah, the free healthcare that you can't find a doctor.
Yeah, so why don't you take care of your own goddamn health? Pull up your socks. And if you can't grow your own food, you got no space, go find some. It's out there. And you know what? The chicken dude, the food I buy when I do buy food, I go to farms and shit, or I try to go to a farmer's market, but I grow actually pretty much everything I need here, or everything I want. We buy things that you would call a need, but what was I going to say there? Sorry, I've had a busy day so far.
I don't know. I was thinking about the follow-up question to ask you since we're
go for it. Let's just go. Yeah, forget it. Whatever I was saying, forget it.
There's two Alzheimer's patients here.
Yeah.
You said you have chickens. How do you kill chickens?
I don't kill them. It's only for eggs. I actually don't kill animals as a spiritual decision.
Okay.
Yeah, but I eat them.
Right.
Yeah, I purchased them to eat. I purchased the meat, but I'm sort of I'm a Buddhist. Okay, and I'm not a big follower of the rules, as you may have already gathered, but I do consider myself Buddhist, so I would say that I do not kill. Period. Yeah, if I can avoid it.
There's like a quasi, I don't even know if it's a ritual, but they sent my brother when he was a kid, they sent him down to the basement. There was like a lamb, sheep, whatever, and they gave him a knife and he had to kill the thing. And they went down 10 minutes later, he's just in the corner, like huddled shit.
Yeah. I used to snare rabbits and stuff, and that was rough. Like I was 10 years old skinning rabbits. And to kill a chicken, though, there's a variety of ways. There's actually a cone that you can buy, and you set up this cone, and you can just stick it upside down, head first in this cone, and it's kind of just held there. Then you it'll just bleed out onto the ground, and it'll just be dead upside down in a cone. And then, okay. So there's none of this running around stuff. That's a bit of a myth. I mean, you can do that. You can cut the damn thing's head off with a wood block and a machete if you want to, and let the thing run around with blood squirting out. I've never seen it. I guess it's true. It does happen sometimes, but I don't think that this is what people are doing. It's ridiculous. Yeah, people don't do that. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever killed an animal. I've gone fishing, but
I've done a lot of fishing in my life. Lots of fishing. But I try not to kill animals anymore.
Let me clarify that. I've been in proximity to other people who've caught fish.
Okay, yeah.
I just watched.
Yeah. Well, my family are Newfoundlanders, so there's still fishermen in my family out on fishing boats from the real old school. Like the last vestiges of these wooden boats in the small town, and they go out to get a variety of different things from the sea. They're still happening out there. Yeah, I have an uncle who's a fisherman still. He's old as the hills, but they can't get off that damn ocean. I don't have my sea legs. I hate the ocean. I do not go on it.
I have my boating license, and I love the ocean when you're on a boat and it's moving. But when it's stable, I get seasick.
Yeah, I took the ferry to Newfoundland once, and it was a roundabout trip all the way to St. John's, which is on the other side, and it's like the size of Texas, this place. So from Cape Breton to St. John's, it was a 18-hour or 16-hour trip, and you go to the deep sea, to the south of Newfoundland, you could imagine, and around the province all the way to the other side of it. That was the longest sea journey I'd ever been on, and I was nauseous the whole time. And that was the last. That was it. That was it for me. Get me off this boat. Yeah. I'm good in the forest. I'm good in the forest, though. I won't go squirrely in the woods like a lot of people will. Oh
No,
yes.
I'm not really. I'm like the opposite of a special forces soldier. If I sit in the car and like the headrest is tilted slightly too much forward, I get motion sickness all day.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Do you live in Vancouver?
I do. Well, I used to, and then I moved to West Van, which is a suburb, and then now I'm in Whistler, which is a resort
Right,
town.
Whistler. Right, Whistler. Yeah, I never been to Whistler. I spent a whole year in Kelowna, a year in Tofino, 6 or 8 months in Tofino. I lived in Courtney for like a few months. Salt Spring Island for a few months. Did some tenting, sort of backpacking around a few of the other islands for a few months. Lived in Vancouver for a few months. Yeah, so I've been around BC a little bit. It's interesting. Couldn't wait to get out of there, to be honest. By the end, back here.
A lot of the nurses have the same sentiment now. People are trying to leave.
Yeah, people are like that everywhere, aren't they? In Canada, get me out of here. Because what are they going to do to us next?
Well, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever, man. What can they do?
David, we're at the end of the episode. I was thinking maybe if you could give a plug for your podcast and maybe where people can follow you.
The Freedom Conversation podcast, and I only have a Rumble channel, and I have a Podbean, so for the audio, and I do interviews with people. Had James Corbett, Nick Hudson. These are some big names that just stick in my mind of just some of the greatest guests I could ever have imagined. They're sort of almost heroes. It's nice to talk to people who you've been watching and listening to for a while and getting good info from them. But anyway, yeah. So that's it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not good at plugging. I'm not trying to make a career out of this or anything. I'm more so just interested in learning from people and trying to figure out what's going on around here in this world. What's really going on around here? Why are people so poor and sick and lazy and fucked up? Something's going on, my friend. So that's what my show's about, trying to find out what's going on. And transhumanism is the answer. That's where I've landed. So it's the Freedom Conversation podcast. I'm on Twitter also. Yeah.
Well, everyone go check out his channel and keep up the good work. I mean, I think I have a feeling you're your own harshest critic, but you're doing exactly what needs to be done. Like, people need to talk to each other in this country.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yep. People got to talk to each other. They really do. But from both sides, it's hard to find people from sort of like the Covidian or the gender group to come on a podcast and talk to you. They'll just cancel you. Hi, would you like to come on the podcast? Talk about gender ideology, help me understand what it is, how that works. What's a cis gender? What's a non-binary? Come on and just explain to me what that is. And we'll talk about it. No. Very difficult to have someone be so brave. They'll just cancel you because you're a bigot for wanting to have a conversation about that topic. So I find that very curious. How our education system is instilling this in people and children.
It's a big chasm. It's a big divide.
Yeah, it's a hard end to the podcast today to bring that up. But yeah, no, whatever, dude. It's all right. We'll pull through. History will sort all of this out. That's for a fact. Yeah.
Well, David, I wanted to thank you for coming on, and I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, me too. And thanks for coming on my podcast. I think that was a really good conversation we had also. Yep. Great. Wonderful. Have a great day.
Enjoy the rest of your day and get homestead.
Yeah, I have a lot to do, my friend.
Bye.
Bye-bye.